Hello everyone, it's Colrain or Colrain Tarot here on YouTube. My pronouns are they, them, and I am an energy and tarot artist. So today what I'm creating for you all is a video where we are going to do a two-part pick a card reading. So you can get a bit more of a individualized or personalized message about your identity, about how it's been constructed, shaped, and formed on a spiritual and an egoic level. So we're going to touch in on your earthly experience and also any beyond earthly or beyond the physical type of experiences that you have and how that has formed and shaped into an identity that you are living through in this current lifetime. So I am a student right now and I do study identity and the formation of it, and so this is something that I feel is really important to understand how you have a relationship with your own identity, and so that's why I am making this video today. I hope that this is something that uplifts you and assists you at this time. And so right now, before I introduce the piles, I do want to set an intention as we light a candle and light this incense together and clear the space with the sound bell, just to get into a meditative state and to connect in with the physical body or in with the intuition, however you feel you best navigate your own perception through a reading. If that is not something that you're super interested in, I do have timestamps in the description if you know exactly what you're here for. But just to let you know, I am going to have the main portion of the reading in these three piles, and then the secondary or supplementary additional messages in these four piles, and feel free to choose as many or as few piles as you feel called to. So without further ado, I'm going to start setting the intention so we can light our candle together, call in our guides, and just get the space really ready for this reading. So I'm going to light this match, and we're going to set this or light this candle with the intention that it draws in our guides of the highest compassion, wisdom, truth, and alignment. And that messages that are meant to help us reflect upon our identity and the formation of it will come through and assist us. So that may even be ancestral guides or, thank you, guides that have to do with our spiritual ancestry or angelic connections, have the space and the protection to come into this space. And then the incense, we've lit that with the intention that that just continues to add to that sense of protection and safe space that we've created here, because I do think it is it's important to be intentional about what kind of spiritual energies you are allowing into a reading, but that's my own personal preference. So I'm going to sound the sound bell, and as I do this, I'd like you to be a little bit more conscious of your breathing and start to take deeper and fuller breaths down into the belly, down into your feet. So, and one more. And that one is to reach the third eye, or the area, the energetic system in the center of your face that allows for you to take in information and start to discern messages or energies that are on this table that are meant for you. So we have pile 1 right here, pile 2, pile 3. So we have pile A, pile B, pile C, and pile D. And I will have all of those timestamps in the description below. If you still need another second or two to choose, then you can pause the video here. Otherwise, I'm going to move into the first pile. Alright, so if you selected this first pile, then this is going to be your reading on how your identity has been constructed. So I'm going to sound the sound bell just to cleanse the space of any collective energy that was here from the introduction. So, and just feeling that y'all are in need of something softer right now. Just as I'm starting to sink into this energy, let me get a sip of water. Okay, and start getting ready to read for you. So, this first card that I have here is from the Buddha Wisdom Shakti Power Oracle, and this one's going to describe somewhat of a more spiritual energy that has come forth in your identity. And this one is the White Tara, and she offers liberation. By your quiet listening, you can liberate others from fear. Here we have a shadow aspect that has come forward in your identity and your personality. This is lust. One who embraces a lot cannot squeeze very hard. And then we have the Cosmos Tarot. And an animal. So I'm going to lay out the Cosmos Tarot cards right now. Okay, and so the Cosmos Tarot, I'm starting to see this color energy that is kind of being the pattern of this reading so far. And as I'm even tapping into your energy, even though there's not a lot of blue pictured here, I am feeling that there's something that needs to be released in the throat chakra. There is some here, and then the reference to quiet listening here. I'm starting to channel even before I've got the cards all introduced, but there's definitely something about the throat chakra that really needs to be released. And even as I'm saying this, my throat is beginning to calm down, just because going into this reading, just specifically your pile, I started to have quite a bit of blockages that I'm starting to feel in this throat area. And so there's something about your physical body holding a lot of experience within it. Especially with this lust card kind of being the central focus of this reading as a shadow aspect, I do feel like you, on some level, try to seek out more material things or physical experiences or physical identities as something that you hold a lot of your significance or the attributions of your purpose to, if that makes sense. And so there's some element of how you see your physical body, how you see your physical experience, or the way that you maybe dress, or just find these physical characteristics within yourself as being a meaning of something beyond the physical. With the phrase here in terms of the shadow attribute, because I kind of want to get that out of the way first. One who embraces a lot cannot squeeze very hard. There is a certain amount of you that is almost like a seeker type of energy, or someone who, I don't know, for some reason I'm getting the idea of a vision of someone who is that person who's in an alley and they have a coat on, and the coat has all these different things that you're selling, so all the watches, and that person who kind of has everything that you could ever dream of tucked away and it's almost kind of shady in a sense. And not to say that you're shady, it's just almost you have so many different skills or hobbies or unfinished projects too that say something about you, but you haven't ever fully seen them to their completion. So there's a certain sense of you kind of grasping at a lot of different relationships, or a lot of different, this could be hobbies or skills, these kind of things, or businesses even that you've tried to start, and you can't fully get all the way through that experience. And so I do feel there's a lot of copying type of energy, especially with this quiet listening. You can liberate others from fear. You're just somebody who is almost fearlessly trying to emulate different aspects of yourself constantly. You want to shapeshift almost in different situations to really find your true purpose. And there's a gift in someone who is really able to observe what other people are doing and emulate that in their own sense. So don't take my wording of copying as something that is like a negative experience, or something that is like in that sense of like you're trying to take on qualities of other people in a negative way, or in a way that's unoriginal. I do think there's a lot of originality in being able to take or observe from another person's ambitions and then turn it into something that is able for you to, that works for you in your own specific journey. But I do feel like with the shadow aspect, this is something that wants to be integrated, that hasn't fully been integrated in yourself. Just this part of you that needs a lot of stimulus, or needs a lot of attention and affection, in a way that you may feel like you're trying to get it from outside of yourself when it already exists within. So maybe there's a part of you that needs to be a little bit more quiet and listen to your own self, rather than listening to the opinions and the perspectives of everyone else. Because I do feel like a certain amount of your identity does revolve around how other people view you as a creator, as a friend, as a family member. With the peacock card here, this is an animal that, again, with this watchfulness, has the eyes on the tail, which stand for a certain amount of watchfulness or observational skills. But there's also a, like with the words here, lighthearted and laughter, there's a certain aspect of your personality that likes to be in the spotlight or likes to show off. Also with the sun card here, the two of water or the two of cups, exchange, rhythm, unification. The Queen of Air here, Aquila, powerful ally, loyalty, honor, and then the Sun, intensity, passion, fearless initiative. You really like to be a part of a group, or like to be on display in some sense. So there's some aspect of your personality that wants to have recognition, that wants to meet other people's needs. I feel like there's an underlying amount of people-pleasing that exists in this pile, or trying to please the expectations of other people, that does lie underneath a lot of your personality or the way that you identify. And I feel like something, not that I'm supposed to be giving advice, but if I were to take advice from this reading, if this reading were about myself, I would view this as an opportunity to see what I am mirroring back to other people, because it is truly of myself and not something that I am just doing out of meeting other people's projected expectations, if that makes sense. So I think something that you can be aware of is the ways in which you expect other people, their needs or their desires, rather than asking them. I do think a lot of people come to you as somebody who they see as a really good friend, again with this powerful ally, loyalty and honor. You're somebody who may do well in like some kind of community building career, or you are somebody that offers a lot of advice. I'm seeing that a lot of you could possibly have some online presence, or it's just your opinions are really influential. People really like to listen to what you say. There is a certain part of you that I feel like with the Sun card is, because the Sun does represent the ego, there's a part of you that you like to keep really hidden, with this like intensity, passion, fearless initiative. There is a lot of projected like drive or confidence that I feel like doesn't fully match up to how you feel on the inside. There's a lot of like turmoil or emotional aspect to you that you keep to yourself. And I feel like part of what you would benefit from if you really tapped into the full potential of this Sun energy because this is connected to Scorpio energy, is just being more conscious about what kind of image you put out there, because the peacock is one that shows off, or that has that amount to, or that image that attracts exactly what they desire. And so for you, being really confident or calculated, I don't know if that's the right word, but almost like strategic about what kind of image you put out, if you are somebody that has a specific message that you want to get out through yourself, or the image of yourself as like a business person, being more intentional about that will help you maintain that stability between a private life and a public life. I do feel like part of this is a very important individuation process for you too, and just getting more in contact with who you really do see yourself to be, because with this Queen of Air, I do feel like this kind of represents you in this reading, this person who's able to get things done, but it's almost like, how much are you willing to reserve your own energy for yourself and the pursuits that you feel are important, not just the things that everybody expects of you. Other than that, I do feel like there's a certain sense of like the way that you express yourself materially, or the kind of eccentric almost nature of the way that you dress, or the way that you just light up a room. There's like, you draw out the ability for somebody to tell you almost like their deepest, darkest secrets and intuitions and experiences. There's something about you that's almost like hidden away from the world, or being brought to light, or you channel a lot of energy from like cosmic realms or other dimensions. And so people, when they are in contact with your energy, I feel like you either like attract or repel people. There is a certain amount of like attraction energy that's going on in here, and so you might want to be a bit more intentional about what energy you want to attract. And then there's a lot of like protection, attraction type of energy, just being more intentional about that. So this is all I'm seeing for you, Pile 1. I hope that this resonated. I hope that this gave you a bit of a different look into how your identity has been constructed and how you've experienced an identity in this physical lifetime. Otherwise, I will see you in another portion of this video if you choose to receive a supplementary reading. Otherwise, I will see you in another video. Bye, friend. Hello, Pile 2. If you selected Pile 2, then this is going to be your identity reading. So let's sound the bell and kind of clear out the energy of the last pile, and then start to make this safe space for you and your unique energy. And I'd like to invite you to just take a deep breath and kind of get centered as we begin this reading. So the first card that I'm being called to kind of dive into before we kind of unpack the rest of the reading and start to dive into the other cards is this center card, which is a shadow attribute from the Okana Oracle that is describing a part of your shadow that defines the rest of your identity right now. And this is energy. Do not lose your head, because you will lose yourself. And I'm interested in what the guidebook is going to say about this card. I know that this is a card from the element of fire. And this says, as the shadow element, showing immense passion but refusing to plan ahead or working on the foundation, fundamentally putting the cart before the horse. So I do feel like this pile is specifically a lot of dreamers. You guys may have some Pisces energy, some strong 12th house energy, or you are also possibly have just a really strong influence of the moon in your chart. So looking at your moon placement, or your chart ruler, or even just seeing what like Cancer placements you might have in your chart are going to be possibly a bit more illuminating of your ego or your identity right now. And so this energy card with the rabbit too, rabbits sometimes get too anxious, or they can let their anxiety rule the way that they act or the way that they move, but they do also make really good partners, or really good like these type of energies, I guess. Rabbits are very good partners or very good family members, and so I do feel like a lot of your identity, or the shadow aspects of your identity, have come up from your relationships with other people, and specifically your family members, or just generational roles and expectations that you have placed on yourself as a person. So do not lose your head, because you will lose yourself. Maybe talking about a certain amount of anxiety, or some kind of mental mental health issue, or I don't really want to call it an issue, but a mental health experience possibly, that kind of shapes the way that you view yourself and view your capabilities and your worth and these kind of things. And so I feel like that's something that you might be looking into right now, or just something that is coloring your experience at the time that you're watching this video. With the cooperation and completion card and the snake, transformation and change, these two energies represent a more animalistic or a more primal part of your nature, and specifically I'm talking about like your human experience. And so these are, I feel like, talking about they're almost extensions of the shadow energy. I do feel like some of you may have a very specific experience or relationship to substances, especially with the bottle being poured out here. But also with the snake energy here, just wisdom, and also for some of you, religion as well, because of the importance and prevalence of snake-like energy in religious doctrines, and specifically Abrahamic religions. But just that symbolism of the snake, I feel like, is something that may indicate to me that you're somewhat of a black sheep of the family, or someone who's always kind of stood out or gone against the grain and kind of done your own thing. I do feel like you're someone who possibly has like few very close relationships with people, or you have very specific relationships with people, whereas like you connect with people over very niched kind of experiences, rather than things that like everyone could have a conversation with someone over. Like I feel like you guys are the type of group where you really don't want to have small talk with a lot of people, and you never really have. You've always been a much deeper thinker, and so that's why this transformation and this cooperation and completion type of energy are coming out for you. I am feeling like a lot of you are really outspoken as well, so you're gonna say what's on your mind. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're shy, but you're just somebody who has very specific opinions. And I also wanted to touch back into this relationship with substances that I mentioned earlier. This doesn't have to mean that you have had a complicated relationship with substances. I do think that this just may indicate that, like, for example, if you had a complicated relationship with what substances meant when you were younger, and you may have been very advocating for like complete sober, or like your family members may have an odd relationship with those, but that doesn't have to resonate for every person here. So these two energies from the Buddha Wisdom, Shakti Power, Oracle on the two ends here are all about your spiritual or a more like ethereal identity that you have developed over time. And so these are more outside of your lived experience. And we have the 1,000 armed Avalokitesvara, he who looks compassionately upon the earth, and it says, quiet compassion is sometimes the best course. And over here we have the Padma Dakini, the red Buddha family of the West. Replace greed by cultivating discrimination. Okay. I do feel like you guys, again with that mention of the black sheep of the family, I feel like you guys have really had to go through and maybe live in paradigms or live in ego experiences where you didn't necessarily resonate with who you were being on a soul level. You were just possibly living out karma or showing other people by your own lived experiences kind of the results of their projections, results of imposed like oppressions or limitations that other people have placed on you. I feel like some of you may have lived in really almost like oppressive experiences as children or young adults, or you got really involved in like certain communities, or these could even be online communities where there's certain like thought patterns that you really had to live through and embody before you could break away from them. And I feel like this has made it so that you can, because compassion is something that occurs when we can step into the shoes of another person and fully experience or resonate with or understand where someone's coming from. I do feel like a lot of you have lived in experiences or paradigms where you thought in a way that you now look back on and you're like, that is not who I was at all. And I do feel like it's because of a recent spiritual awakening, or it doesn't even have to be all that recent, but just because of a spiritual awakening in your life that you started to really pursue a more compassionate outlook on the earth and on your own experiences. With these cards along the bottom from the Cosmos Tarot, which I haven't touched on at all, we have the 8 of Earth, the Hermit, which is another Earth energy, the 2 of Air, and then the 5 of Air, so we have Air and Earth. These are two opposite kind of energies. I don't really see them as being very compatible all the time because of just their like makeup isn't really similar. Air is more talking about the mind, and then the earth can be talking about the environment, but the body is kind of also a similarly like earth energy, and so they are interdependent on each other in some sense. Let's read the keywords that are on here. So the 8 of Earth is time, milestones, progression. The Hermit is the quest, solitary journey, pursuit of wisdom. The 2 of Air is end of naivety, truth, revelation. 5 of Air is structural stability, foundation, and risk analysis. So I do feel like this is you reconciling between, like going back and forth between the past, between how you have inherited identities or formed them in the past, but then also with your present, how you want to continue to embody a self that is strong, that really does encapsulate many different dimensions of who you are. This time card, this progression, the milestones, I feel like this is something that you could give yourself a bit more credit on, is like how much you have progressed and how aware you have become of who you are and who you were. I feel like a lot of you hold a lot of guilt on yourself over things that you did or ways that you identified in the past that don't necessarily have to do with who you know yourself to be today and the morals and the values and these different things that you feel you are attuned to right now. But remembering with this Hermit card that the quest, the solitary journey, the pursuit of wisdom is the most important thing. This is Canis Major, so this is a dog. The dogs are loyal. They also, I believe in this legend, this dog is going after a fox. It's sent to go and hunt, and there's a similar like this hunting type of energy here with the 2 of Air. and it says the end of naivety, truth, revelation. Because of this inner work, because of this spiritual awakening, this journey, this hermetic type of experience that you've gone on, you are able to really step out of those patterns of being naive or harm that you've caused, and you don't. This is also really interesting. I'm realizing that this rabbit shows up twice. You get to really break down that anxiety, that unaware sense of yourself that may have existed, or that you were just given by the nature of your body or your ancestry or your homeland. For some of you, this has to do with where you live, your country, the politics, that kind of a thing. And then the structural stability, foundation, and risk analysis. You're somebody who, again, with this snake energy, is really confident and comfortable with using your discernment to point out and be critical of things around you that you feel are uncomfortable. And people do really look to you to be a good judge of character. I'm surprised the judgment card isn't here. But don't let your anxiety or don't let that hypercritical sense of yourself get in the way of what you actually are here to do, which is heal yourself and understand all these underlying issues or underlying baggage or underlying karma that you're carrying with you that's keeping you from a more peaceful sense of self, a sense of self that uses that combative nature, that debate type nature that you have within you, to see growth, to see change, and to lay certain things to rest. I do feel like there's a lot of karma that you have with you, that you're almost seeing as a sense of yourself, but it doesn't have to be a part of your identity if you don't let it be a part of you. I feel like sometimes this pile may engage in some spiritual bypassing, where you set aside some part of your shadow, or you deny a certain part of your shadow, especially with these icebergs that are underneath the water. It's like things that are emotional, that reside in your mind, or intrusive thoughts that you're like, that's not a part of me, but you need to acknowledge where that's coming from. Or, excuse me, I don't want to push on you that you need to do anything, but there could be some benefit from acknowledging where those intrusive thoughts come from, and then figuring out how to rewire them, or look at them in a different way, and understand kind of what you need to do to get out of that paradigm. There is definitely a journey that you know that you're on, and the more that you embrace that change, the more that you embrace the ever-evolving nature of it, the less anxiety, the less directionless your path will be. And I do feel like planning or embracing some kind of earth energy is going to be important for you to kind of move forward. So I hope that this resonated. I hope that this helped you see your identity, or the way that you've been operating, in a bit of a different light. Otherwise, I will see you in another portion of this video, or in another video altogether. Bye, friend. Hello, pile 3. If you selected pile 3, then this is going to be your identity reading. And we're going to start looking into how your identity has been constructed, how it's been maybe given to you, how you've taken charge and really embodied your own self. So I want to use the sound bell really quickly, just to kind of cleanse the space of any residual or lingering energy that has accumulated from past piles, and to allow you to get into that meditative space again, and just really focus in on the reading. So I want to do one more, and encourage you to start breathing down into your body and feel a little relaxed as we go into this reading. So the 2 cards that are calling my attention to go into first are the cards from the Buddha Wisdom Shakti Power Oracle, and these cards are going to describe a more spiritual sense of your identity and kind of what you've been embodying more recently. I feel like this pile specifically has gone through a lot of transformations, and you're kind of at a point right now where you're more focused on integrating and allowing for life to flow for you. There's a sense of, I can't allow everything to kind of be controlled in my life for a lot of you, and so you're kind of in a state, almost like a cocoon type state right now, where you're starting to break out of that cocoon and there's been some kind of change or transformation that's happened, where you're just a lot more comfortable with your shadow, I guess. So here we have Akshobhya in the realm of the Eastern Pure Lands. Objective, focused observation illuminates the truth. And then we have the Skull Cup of the Inner Offering. Giving creates a flow of health and love. So for this pile, I am feeling like you have a pretty consistent spiritual practice, and you have some kind of gift that you are trying to offer to the world, that you know that only you or you and a selective group of people really specifically offer. You may be connected to certain like star systems or just experiences. I'm gonna knock this. Certain experiences that have begun to like be defined of like certain types of healers, certain occult communities, even religious communities. You just have a certain spiritual grouping that I feel that you resonate with or you adhere to, and there is a certain experience of truth bearing, and with the words health and love. I do feel like you are just here in general to raise the vibration in different ways, hold down certain ideas, philosophies, and really embody them. It's a very patient and teacher type of energy here with Akshobhya, having that objective focus observation illuminating the truth. I feel like you don't even have to say things a lot of the times. Or you know how to keep your spiritual energy kind of protected and what you really should invest your time into when it comes to healing and transforming other people. Because I do feel like in the past you may have kind of given too much of your energy when it came to talking about or transforming certain people's experiences. I am feeling a more tired energy from this pile. There's something about being kind of in your own inner world, or needing more of that focus on the inner world. Maybe clearing out some of that third eye fog that's going on would be helpful, or having a specific focus on the third eye would be really beneficial for you right now when it comes to pursuing your own spiritual transformations. And also with this experience of offering, I do feel like making some kind of offering, whether it be to your ancestors or your spirit guides or your angels or whoever you believe in, whatever type of like more ethereal energies that you connect with, would be really beneficial for you right now. So here's a shadow aspect from the Okana Oracle that's going to describe a shadow element that is informing your experience of identity right now, and this is famine. Do not pick up what is discarded, and I feel like that's just pointing to a part of you that has nostalgia. Since you have a very peaceful, loving presence and an experience of transformation and that kind of compassionate, like wise experience, you may have a tendency to never want to let go of things, or try and keep people or places or habits in the loop that don't really belong to you anymore or belong in your experience. So this is warning you to even though you may stay spiritually hungry, that may not always be the best path for you, because you have very specific and divinely orchestrated experiences that you're kind of flowing through right now. I want to start to get to the other cards. So from the Cosmos Tarot, we have these 5 cards. You guys actually had the most tarot cards come out, and then here's an animal energy. So I'm going to touch on the animal energy first from the Flowers from the Dead Oracle. This is the Spider, which is 37, and this is jealousy or grudge. And I do feel like, again, with this famine energy, there's a certain amount of you that is very stubborn. like you may actually have some Taurus energy going on or second house energy, but there's something about your identity or your ego that gets stuck on things or gets stuck on like this in this web. You may also just be very like sensitive to people's energies or the energies of like other people's problems. You may almost enable people sometimes to like walk all over you or kind of influence you in a sense. And so just being more intentional about protecting what is your opinion and what other people's opinions are of you. Some of you may be a little bit more optimistic about people's intentions than is really helpful to you in the long run, because not everybody has good intentions. There are a lot of people that want to get or serve their own agenda, and that doesn't mean that people are necessarily evil or that you should go around believing that people are evil, because I don't think that you will, but it's just a bit more of apprehension before you give up these kind of things to people. Here we have the Tower, which is an air card, Iridimus, I hope I said that right, a twist of fate at the mercy of a greater power, dark matter, unseen forces at work, karma, and this is an oracle card from the Cosmos Tarot. And then we have Temperance, which is another air energy. You have a lot of air energy going on here, actually, with the star here, which is also an air energy, but this is Picture, assistance, encouragement, patronage, and then Gemini, stimulation, interaction, communication, and Satellite, support, attraction, companionship. So I do feel like you guys are a bit more of social butterflies, and because of that, you, again, with this attracting kind of a thing, I do feel like you have to have a bit more of discernment about people's intentions, because I do feel like a lot of you may have a healing aura or just a more innocent type of energy, and that doesn't mean you have to be like naive, but this is meaning that you just draw people towards you sometimes that do need to be healed, or they need to experience your energy, which is a bit less cynical, a bit less critical of things that are going on. And so you do support a very firm companionship type of energy, and I am getting a bit of Libra energy from this reading as well, regardless of this star energy, which says Gemini. But stimulation, interaction, communication, I do feel like you're somebody who may resonate, like I said before, with this grouping type of thing with star seeds or these kind of like new age type movements, where there's something beyond that is influencing how you view your own identity and your own embodiment. And I do feel like a lot of your embodiment is importantly rooted in your fantasy, in your dreaming, your imagination. With this Temperance here, I do also feel like a lot of you are healers, or you have some kind of healing quality. You heal yourself as well as other people around you, and a lot of people do see you as a strong opinion, a grounded opinion, someone who is really able to view things in a more optimistic and well-informed light. With the assistance, encouragement, patronage, I do feel like you're very popular. There's a lot of people who really like to listen to what you have to say, and they do really resonate with what you're saying. And you are, I do feel like, very artistic, if that makes sense. Like you have a lot of creativity to give, especially with this offering type of energy. On the other side here, this is a bit of a different energy with the Tower and the dark matter. I do feel like you're just more sensitive to other people's karma, but I feel very good at recognizing when you're playing out your own karmic cycles in life, and so that's why it's so important for you to not return to those or have nostalgia over these past experiences, because you don't want to dip back into that old karma that you've already worked through. or hold on to frustrations. I feel like a lot of you are since you're very pure in heart, you may be able to hold a resentment towards people because you have this expectation like, oh, I would never do this to you. Why did you do this to me? And it's not from a naivety, it's just recognizing that other people have different agendas. And so a lot of times when things happen in your life where it does feel like a twist of fate or you're at the mercy of a greater power with this tower energy, it's really just that you have very strong guidance that you do rely on a lot. And so especially the star and the tower energies here, I do feel like, are you being very connected to the spirit realm, or you may be a medium or something. You do have a bit more of a relationship with spirit than other people may have. So this is all I'm seeing for you, pile 3. There will be more supplemental reading portions that you can go to now if you'd like to. Otherwise, I will see you in another video, and I hope you have a blessed and abundant and loving day. I'll see you soon. Bye, friend. Hello, Group A. If you selected this supplemental reading of Pile A, then this is going to be your little additional message to whatever identity message that you have chosen. So these are just going to be 2 cards, and these are from 2 different decks, the Sacred Geometry Activations and the Beyond Lemuria Oracle cards. So I'm going to sound cleanse the space again and then continue to drop you into that more meditative state so that you can access that subconscious, intuitive version of yourself. So, and I have just relit a new incense. This one's more of a musk scent, so this is going to preside over this reading and continue to protect the space. Okay, so immediately, without even flipping anything over or looking at the second card, this card is giving me an idea that a lot of you are really in touch with your inner child. You are, with this butterfly energy, really connected to nature, possibly like fairy type energy or fairy spirits, or possibly nymphs as well. And I'm getting a lot more like water energy and like Sagittarius type energy from you, which is kind of more playful. It adapts to situations because Sagittarius is like this mutable type of energy. There's just this element of you that really does flow into whatever environment that you're put in, and you really are adaptable. You are flexible and comfortable with kind of going with whatever is around you at the time, and you like to create and build upon what you're given. I feel like a lot of you aren't satisfied with just going with whatever is handed to you. You like to think about it and expand upon it. So here, this card is Manifestia, which is really interesting. You can decide how you want to live. The universe fully supports your choice to step into the optimal version of yourself. Dream big, then dream bigger. Now is a great time to start all the projects you have been considering. All it takes is some pollination. Be creative with your visioning. Sow the seeds of the reality you want to experience through affirmative thinking and higher intention. Then anchor or ground your dream seeds. Manifest from the heart, overcome fear, take strong positive action, and let go of the outcome. Know and trust your dreams are already on their way and expect to see results. Okay, so I can tell that you guys are very strong manifestors. You have a really strong grasp or awareness of how spiritual energy translates into the physical, and so I feel like a lot of you can strengthen this skill by just being more intentional about little things in your identity. So for example, the colors that you wear often, the clothes, maybe you have where you source things that you wear. I feel like for some of you, this is getting rid of old things that have to do with your identity, maybe deleting old pictures on social media, letting go of old clothes, or just old ideas or beliefs, things that you may repeat out loud, especially those words create your reality. So like telling old stories or just repeating, it's like things that you continue to say. That's maybe important right now to examine or evaluate, like how those really do construct identities of other people's like perceptions of you, because our identities do kind of exist as these collective little structures that other people can often project onto us, or things that we project outwards from ourselves. So that's something to maybe keep in mind. But I do feel like writing down, as this card says, like writing down a version of yourself that you think is really important, or you want to begin to more consciously embody, is going to allow for you to kind of like step more into this transformed version of yourself, or kind of upgrade in some ways. And I also feel like recognizing what in your life right now doesn't really align with that version that you are trying to create is going to help you just be a bit more intentional about what you're creating. With this consciousness card here, this is card 17, and this is reminding me kind of the star card, where, well, because it is that number 17, but just that ability to tap in with your consciousness on a different level. I feel like your consciousness works in a way that a lot of people's struggles to. A lot of you may be claircognizant, or you just may have very perceptive abilities where you can tap into the consciousness of a situation. Some of you also may have some kind of like Scorpio aspect, like maybe a Scorpio Mercury or something, but you just have this ability to almost like psychically control or like manipulate situations really well, especially with this card being Manifestia. There's a certain amount of like your energy that is very psychically tuned in. And I want to read what this says really quickly. It says, the frequency of consciousness supports our ability to focus our attention on all the multidimensional aspects that show up so that we can include them in our reality. And again, this is about reality building. So there's something within your reality right now that you are consciously being made aware of, so that you can develop your own opinion on it, first of all, and then second of all, integrate it into the way that you're consciously co-creating your reality. So that's all I'm seeing for you, Pile A. I hope that this supplemented the rest of the reading that you've received today in a beneficial way, and I want to send you so much abundance, so many blessings, and so much love. I will see you in another video. Bye, friend. Hello, Group B. If you selected this card, then this is going to be your supplement to your identity reading. I'm going to cleanse the space with some sound really quickly to get you into a more meditative state again, and drop your breath down into the body and just cleanse any energy from past piles. Okay, now, just based purely on the feeling that I'm getting, I'm a bit more clairsentient, so I'm getting like more physical sensations for this group, and based on the visuals of this card, I am feeling like a message is coming through pretty clearly, is to hydrate, which is interesting, or like get yourself somewhere near some water, because water, I do feel like, is a really good way to channel intentionally, either through scrying, like those kind of like visualizations, or just to program the water. I do feel like your body and your physical vessel is very programmable, if that makes sense. So doing little like charms and types of things. I saw someone mentioning a little while ago, I think it was on TikTok, like putting intention into like your nail polish or like your makeup or something. Those kind of like somewhat superficial type things, but they really do have a very strong resonance within you. There is also something that I feel like there's a certain amount of secrecy that you hold to yourself, but you're really good at observing and specifically seeing like challenges or problems that exist within other people or within situations, and then holding it close to your heart so that you can, in a way, point them out in a loving and helpful form. I also do feel like this group has a very soft energy, but you're tired. So you also may need just to rest. Like, there's a certain amount of self-care that is really essential to who you are as a being and being able to express yourself in a really authentic way. So let's start looking at these cards. Let's see what it says on the back. This says Internal Explorer. When we stop looking outside ourselves and surrender to a soft inner focus, we have access to unlimited information and resources. When we stop thinking with the glass ceiling of our intellect, we have access to multidimensional wisdom from the collective consciousness. Everything is there within you, waiting for expression. You are invited to explore the state of flow. You are an infinitely amazing being who can access collective consciousness, especially when you surrender some control to the greater process or get out of your own way. You have the permission you felt you needed. Go within and explore wonderful gifts are waiting for you. Go within and explore wonderful gifts are waiting for you. Sorry. So, if someone needed a confirmation that you have gifts and you have a spiritual ability to share them, or an ability to be a voice for collective experience, like, this is your confirmation, this is your affirmation of that. So I feel like a lot of you, even though you have a bit more of an introverted nature to you, believe in your quiet but firm voice. I feel like you're worried about not being able to set boundaries when it comes to expressing yourself or having other people project energy towards you, and this is maybe an affirmation that you already have everything you need, including the protection that you feel like you don't always have, and your desire for that protection is going to give you that, like, veil, if that makes sense. I feel like a lot of you are very skilled at protection work already, so you don't really need to worry about that. In terms of like protecting your energy, protecting yourself from getting hurt, there's a certain sense of like you're just very private on some level, and so letting yourself tap into this more like watery nature will allow you to, like I said before, blend into the whatever environment you find yourself within, but not in a sense that you're like robbing yourself of the ability to protect your energy. So let's look at this card. Okay, and I really like the color scheme, how these are kind of like bouncing off of each other. So this is highlighting your upper chakra systems, so the throat, so again, the ability to express, the third eye especially. I do feel like a lot of you have a very indigo aura, and then the crown, so the top of the head where you do receive and think. A lot of you do have a lot of air energy, you're much more up in the mind, so your intellect, your ability to translate things into writing as well. Writing is a way to kind of protect yourself from having to be too out there or say too much, and you can really be intentional and specific about what you're trying to say, so that might be a good route for a lot of you. But the word communication here is talking specifically about your ability to communicate. A lot of you are very gifted communicators, and it says the frequency of communication supports our ability to exchange information in many different forms. It reminds us to run every piece of information, both incoming and outgoing, through our heart, the center of our truth, to stay in the flow of source and balanced exchange. And I do feel like a lot of you are very skilled at not only communicating, but perceiving the underlying intention or the underlying experience of a communication. And so, again, going back to this like spiritual gift kind of a thing, I do feel like a lot of you like have that ability to channel, that ability to flow, to bring things through your experience and communicate subtle realities and subtle truths through the way that you do eventually communicate. So there are many different forms of communication, and you don't have to be necessarily the loudest person in the room, the most charismatic, the most entertaining, or the most performative type of person to be communicative and to be skilled in the art of communication. So that's all I'm seeing for you, Pile B. If this is where we leave each other, then I will see you in another video, and I hope you find abundance, love, and blessings today. Otherwise, I will see you around if you are sticking around. So, bye. Hello, Pile C. If you selected Pile C, then this is going to be your supplement to your personality, your identity reading. So I'm going to sound cleanse the space and get you back kind of into that meditative state as we enter into this section of the reading. And I want to encourage you to breathe and just continue to be in that intuitive space. So I'm seeing right here with this figure that a lot of you feel maybe out of place, or there's a certain amount of like specificity. I don't know if that's like the right word, I guess, but you're very picky about things, and it's almost like secretly introverted. So a lot of people may not view you as an introvert or view you as somebody who holds a lot of like unheard opinions, but it's almost like you have this really unique way of seeing the world and way of contributing to what's already been said. I do feel like a lot of you almost feel like you don't have a lot of power, or you don't have a lot of say in a lot of things, but you do, and it's just a matter of harnessing that power that is important. So let's look at what this card says. It says transformation. Go inwards and be present with wherever you are at in your process. Feel whatever you need to feel. It may be hard to be present with some parts of yourself. Bring them into a cocoon of gentle self-love and reflection. Insight will come, shadows can be released, and your heart space will soften. Cry or be angry if this is what you are holding on to, and laugh at the ironic, divine perfection of it all. Journey beyond your constructed outer self, where you can delve into the beautiful abyss of your being. Revel in the twilight before the dawn and let your wings unfurl. So there is a certain amount of your shadow self, or the shadow aspect of you, that just needs a bit more of your nurturing, more of your attention and your care. And I do feel like a lot of you right now are having an experience where a certain amount of your identity feels kind of shut off to you, or you feel there's untapped potential. And that's why I think I was going into you guys being able to have this uniqueness, but it's almost like you just can't express it fully. Like, that's why I feel like it's a secret introverted nature, like it's a secret side of you, like there's something that's still kind of hidden and even to you on some sense. I do feel like a lot of you are finding new friends or finding new connections right now. There's something about you really not knowing exactly who you're supposed to be because you're still in the process of creating it. So let's look at your other oracle card. Oh, and this is beautiful. This is a really strong message for whoever chose this part of the supplemental readings, that you are healing right now. You're in the process of healing yourself, of healing a certain paradigm as well, and possibly healing I feel like situational karma that you and other people may have accumulated together, but you may be the only one that's really aware of it. I feel like some of these are like work situations or things that you almost like bought into in terms of contracts. So these could be karmic contracts, but I also feel like physical, like law type contracts for some of you. just really reconciling with how that had a larger impact on other people, not taking it too personally, but you're transforming so that you won't have to do that again. This is reminding me of a certain pile earlier, so you may have been drawn to, I believe it was the pile that had the snake. But this is a part of you that you know that in this lifetime you're here to heal from certain things. These can even be past life experiences, but you may have the experience of going into situations that feel familiar or feel kind of familiarly tragic to you, and it's so that you can view it from an outsider's lens and not repeat that energy or buy into those energies. You may have had experiences in your life where you almost feel like a part of your personality is dictated by your trauma or informed by your trauma, and so some of it is hard to discern what is your energy and what is energy that has been adapted from an experience of trauma. I feel like a lot of you, it's important for you to pay attention to your feet right now for some reason, or like get off your feet, and just really give yourself the chance to relax, lay down. I'm seeing like a vision of like a hospital room, so really tending to your needs, and giving yourself the amount of time that you need to restore and relax. Just as when you have like a minor surgery, you're gonna have much less recovery time. If you have something major or like a major operation, you're gonna need more of that time to reflect and rest. So depending on what kind of transformation you're experiencing in terms of your identity and how you view yourself, you're gonna need a different amount of healing. I'm going to read this little healing thing and then I'll close. So, the frequency of healing supports our intrinsic ability to restore our health and wholeness by consciously using the information that comes to us through our senses and harmonizing everything accordingly. So yes, messages are finding you about your healing, what needs healing, what you need to do to heal. So listening and being open to that is going to really move this process along and help you get a much firmer grasp on who you are and what parts of you are informing how you feel identified right now. So I'm sending so much love, so much abundance, and so many blessings your way today. And I will see you in either another section of the video or in another video altogether. Bye, friend. Hello, pile D, or section D. I'm not really sure exactly what I called it, but this is going to be your supplemental reading. So I want to get a bit of a new safe space made here. So I'm going to sound the sound bell and invite you to get back into your breath, back into that intuitive space, and we just cleanse out any residual energy from previous readings. So let's look at this supplemental portion of your identity, maybe something I've missed. And this section I was excited for as soon as I saw this card, because I felt a deep and profound awareness, connection to the earth, connection to your lineage, connection to your ancestry, connection to with this chakra alignment and this like connection to the earth star chakra. There is a certain amount of like the natural world really reflecting a lot of your spiritual experience, and I do feel like a lot of you are very old, or you have some kind of like ancient wisdom within you, and within the things that you do from your day to day, and specifically the way that other people see you as a resource for that wisdom. There's something within you that is connected to, like you may use a lot of like crystals or minerals, or you work with herbs, or you are an artist that kind of places together all these like almost like forgotten things. So you may thrift a lot, or you work with like garbage art or something. There's something about taking things and repurposing them, or using this organic method, or like almost chaotic type of method of bringing things together and weaving them into something new. You don't really like to forget about anyone or anything. You're very conscious of the value of a lot of different things. So let's look a little bit deeper into what this message is. And this says, full spectrum. Step out of the black and white mentality of good and bad. Honor the full spectrum of life and see through fresh eyes. When we judge something, we create a story around it, and often these stories are limiting. Over a lifetime, we subconsciously gather so many of these stories. Create a space of no story for miraculous healing and crystallizing new paths. This space empowers us to know our truth and be all we are. Embrace creation in all her colors, including the raw, muddy, earthbound shadow parts of a situation, to determine whether your stories are limiting your perspective. Let the compost of the challenges you have overcome feed new shoots and blossoms. So, as with other piles that I have read on, I feel like there's a certain amount of you looking outside of yourself and within in order to see the ways that your own shadow has been projected onto situations, the ways that you've put your own limitations onto situations, and the way that you've projected your own limitations onto other people as well. I do feel like there's a certain amount of healing that needs to be done from a portion of you that wants to insert yourself into situations, or see yourself reflected in everything, and it's like you're not going to be in every situation. There are things that maybe aren't meant for you to take on. I feel like a lot of you have like this awareness that's almost too aware sometimes, where it's like, okay, like know when enough's enough, like know when you're done healing, know when you've kind of reached a limit, because sometimes I have my ear ringing. Sometimes you can reach a space of healing and not have to look for more information. Just sit with yourself and just be comfortable with exactly who you've found yourself to be, and then move on from there. Sometimes a limiting belief can be that you have to continue healing. So, and then we have the throat chakra. The frequency of the throat chakra, the blue flower of life, supports our self-expression and our sense of peace and balance. So I feel like this is an affirmation that you do have things to express. You've started to collect enough of like your own self-awareness, your own experience, so that you can continue to share information. A lot of you are being called into a teaching position, or into just a position where you're being more of an instructor or a relayer of information. And I also do feel like this throat chakra can be about what you're taking in. Again, with that consumption kind of an energy, like really having discernment about, is this nourishing me? Is this nourishing the paradigm that I know that I'm living in? The things that I know that I want to do, the things that I hold as my beliefs, my values, the things that I find important. The throat chakra is all about this give and receive, this exchange of information. And so again, going back to your experience of the earth and the nourishment there, what are you giving and receiving to that energy of the physical world and your physical reality? So I want to send so much love, abundance, and blessings your way, and I want to thank you for being present for this reading. If If I am not seeing you in another portion of the video, then I will see you in another video some other time.